100 motorcycle riders thundered into a small suburban town one quiet Saturday morning. Their engines shook the windows, their presence impossible to ignore. Neighbors peeked out from behind curtains, wondering if trouble had arrived. But what unfolded that day wasn't chaos. It was protection. It was a story that would redefine what people thought about bikers forever. Emily Carter was 38 years old and trying to rebuild her life after 15 years of marriage. She had finally left Mark, her controlling and abusive husband. At first, she thought freedom would mean peace. But peace never came. Mark refused to let go. He followed her everywhere, at the grocery store, outside her job, at the library, even at the park when she took her daughter Lily to play. His car was always nearby, his shadow never far behind. Emily had dozens of photos showing his car parked on her street late at night, headlights cutting through her curtains. She had voice messages from him threatening, without ever saying exact words that could be used as evidence. He was clever, always just one step outside the law. She went to the police again and again, but every time the answer was the same: "We're sorry, ma'am. There isn't enough evidence. Until he does something, there's nothing we can do." But Emily knew he was already doing something, destroying her sanity. One night, Emily was driving home from work when she noticed Mark's car. Following close behind, she took 3 different turns, each time hoping to lose him, but he stayed glued to her bumper. Her hands shook on the steering. Well, she pulled into her driveway, ran inside, and locked every door and window. Minutes later, headlights filled her living room. Mark's car sat the curb. He didn't get out, just sat there watching Emily hug Lily tightly on the couch, whispering, "It's okay, baby, mommy's here." But she wasn't sure she believed it herself. That night, Emily typed a desperate message on Facebook: "The system has failed me. My ex-husband won't leave me alone. I'm scared every single day. I don't know what else to do." She pressed post, never imagining what would happen next. The following morning, Emily woke to the sound of motorcycles rumbling down her street. At first, she thought she was dreaming, but the noise grew louder. Dozens, maybe hundreds of bikes. She peeked through her blinds and gasped. Her entire street was filling with riders in leather vests, chrome shining in the morning sun. Lily ran into the living room, eyes wide. "Mom, what's happening?" Emily didn't know what to say. A tall man with scar across his cheek dismounted his Harley and walked calmly up the driveway. His vest bore the patch of a local motorcycle club. He removed his helmet, revealing kind but weathered eyes. "Mrs. Carter?" he asked in surprisingly gentle voice. "Yes." She stammered. "My name's Mason. I'm president of the Iron Guardians. We saw your post. We don't like men who think they can terrorize women. We came to help." Behind him, more and more riders arrived. Within minutes, nearly 100 bikers lined the street, engines rumbling like an army waiting for orders. Emily's heart pounded. "But what can you do?" the police said. Mason held up a hand. "We're not here to break laws. Everything we do today will be legal, but make no mistake, your ex-husband will know he's not welcome in your life anymore." The bikers moved into formation, 2 dozen lined up on each side of Emily's front yard, engines still running. Another group took positions at the end of the street. It looked like a living wall of steel and leather, standing between Emily's home and any threat that dared approach. At 10:03 in the morning, the sound everyone dreaded appeared. Mark's car. Slowly, it rolled down the street. His smug expression vanished when he saw the wall of motorcycles blocking the road. He slammed the brakes, glaring at the riders. Mason stepped forward, arms crossed over his chest. The bikers didn't move. Their engines growled like thunder. Neighbors poured out of their homes, watching silently. Mark rev his engine, inching forward, but he didn't dare cross the line. 100 pairs of eyes burned into him. His power was gone. For the first time, Emily saw fear in his eyes. A police cruiser appeared moments later. Officer Daniels stepped out, hand resting on his holster, but instead of breaking up the gathering, he nodded at Mason. "Morning, gentlemen." Emily's jaw dropped. "You're not stopping this." Officer Daniels shook his head. "We've had dozens of complaints about Mark, but nothing solid enough to stick. That changes today. With this many witnesses, with this much pressure, he'll slip up, and when he does, we'll be ready." Emily realized then she wasn't alone anymore. Her knees almost gave way as relief washed through her body. Lily clung to her arm, but this time the little girl was staring in wonder, not fear. Mason turned back to Emily. "We're taking a ride through town. We'll pass your job, your daughter's school, and some other places your ex likes to lurk. He'll get the message." The roar of 100 motorcycles echoed as they moved out. Emily and Lily riding in a sidecar between Mason and another biker named Hawk. For the first time in months, Lily laughed as the wind whipped her hair. Emily could feel something shift inside her. It was the first time she felt safe enough to smile. They passed the library, where Emily's co-workers stood outside, cheering. Some even wiped tears away. They passed the courthouse, where a judge watched from the steps, nodding in approval. They passed the grocery store, where Mark had cornered Emily just 2 weeks earlier. Finally, they rode past Mark's house. He stood on the porch, fists clenched. But he didn't move the roar of the engines, drown out his fury. The message was unmistakable. She is not yours to terrorize any more, neighbors whispered. Among themselves, phones came out. Recording the unbelievable scene videos were uploaded within hours, reaching thousands of views. Online people from other states left comments, offering support and praising the bikers. That night, Emily slept soundly for the first time in months, but the bikers didn't disappear for weeks. They checked in riding by her house, standing guard at the park. When Lily played even a score in her court hearings, Emily began to notice Lily's nightmares easing. She no longer jumped at every sound outside the window. She even started to invite friends from school. Again, slowly the atmosphere of fear inside their home began to lift. Mark tried to file a complaint claiming harassment, but when detectives pulled his phone records, they uncovered dozens of threatening messages he thought he had hidden with the added testimony of neighbors and the bikers themselves. Police finally had enough. Mark was arrested and charged with stalking, harassment, and violating a restraining order. Months later, Emily stood outside the courthouse, holding Lily's hand. 100 motorcycles rumbled nearby, waiting. Mark had just accepted a plea deal, 3 years in prison, 5 years of probation, and a lifetime restraining order. Emily turned to Mason. I don't know how to thank you. He shook his head. You don't owe us anything. Some of us grew up watching our mothers get hurt. We swore we'd never let it happen to anyone else if we could help it. Emily's eyes filled with tears. My daughter finally feels safe. That's everything. Lily tugged at Mason's vest. Will you always protect us? Mason knelt down, his voice soft. As long as there are riders on the road, kiddo, you'll never be alone. 6 months later, Emily had a new job, a new home, and for the first time, real peace. On Saturday mornings, she and Lily sometimes sat on the porch with coffee and hot chocolate, listening for the rumble of engines, and sure enough, every now and then a group of riders would pass by, raising their fists in salute. Sometimes they even stopped to chat, bringing small gifts. For Lily, a stuffed bear, a pink helmet that matched Mason's Harley. One afternoon, Lily rode slowly in circles on her little bicycle while 2 bikers showed her how to keep balance. Emily laughed, realizing her daughter finally had role models who taught her strength and courage. Months later, Emily and Lily were invited to a charity event organized by the club. It was a fundraiser for women escaping abusive relationships. The sight of dozens of families standing side by side with bikers moved her to tears. She spoke publicly for the first time, sharing her story and thanking the men and women who had shown up when no one else would. The bikers clapped and Mason put a hand on her shoulder, saying, you found your voice, now others will find theirs too. Emily realized, and the impact went far beyond her own life. The story of 100 riders forming a wall had spread hope to countless strangers who felt invisible or helpless. The image of engines roaring and leather vests shining in the sun became a symbol of unexpected protection. Emily smiled. She once believed bikers were dangerous, lawless men, but when her world was falling apart, they were the ones who stood tall. Sometimes heroes don't wear badges or capes. Sometimes they wear leather and ride Harleys. And sometimes 100 riders forming a wall is exactly what it takes to stop a man who refuses to let go.